Good evening and welcome to Fellowships of the Spirits, 6 p.m. First Sunday of the month worship service. I'd like to open this particular service tonight with a prayer that is a song, but it's an ancient one. It's Psalm 118, verse 24 to 29. We're entering into the week and the time of year, which is in the spring, of course, of the year, and it's the week of Passover, and it's also the week of Holy Week to the Christian communities around the world. And so it's a time where we celebrate the newness of life, the regeneration of life and birth anew, resurrection. Old things are passing away and new things are coming into being. So first of all, I'd like to open with Psalm 118, as I said, verse 24. This is the day that the Lord hath made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Blessed are you who come in the name of the Lord. O God, enlighten us. Thou art our God, and we give you thanks and exalt you. Give thanks to the Lord, whose goodness, mercy, and mercy endure forever. I was privileged this morning to have the opportunity to attend worship service at the Presbyterian Church in Fredonia and hear their pastor, Holly Clark Porter, give her talk or sermon today. And one of the points she made that I thought was so poignant was that the life that Christ lived was he owned nothing. Everything he had was borrowed. And it's really the story about how everything we have is borrowed. Everything that we have, everything that comes our way is a gift to us from the source, from God. And that's an important message, I think, for all of us. We can be caught up in all the things we think we're doing and all the things that we think we have and we must achieve or accumulate. Well, all those kinds of things that we can distract ourselves away with. Bottom line is all the things we have, everything we have is a gift to us. Our knowledge, our skills, our relationships, our simple things like last night here, we lost power. We lost with a big storm that came through right here, and we lost the internet. We lost all those things, and we had a quiet evening of just, appreciating the fact that when something is gone, but we have it, we are blessed by it, and we lose track of the many blessings that we do have in our lives at times. And sometimes it takes something being pulled away from us before we realize what blessing it is. So I want to invite you this week as we step into this Holy Week time to look at all of the blessings, the many blessings you have in your life, and how those blessings enrich your life, and give gratitude. Go into a space of gratitude for those blessings and share that joy of that gratitude with the people around you. For this is truly the day that the Lord hath made, and let us rejoice in it. So join me in a moment of prayer, please. Lord, open our eyes to your presence in our midst. Open our hearts to each other in new ways, that we might take this season of renewal, of resurrection, of coming into the spring of life in a new way that allows us to bring all things to newness, allows us to celebrate the many gifts that you have provided us in our lives, even when some of those gifts come with discomfort or pain. We are being taught that we maybe have to let go of some of the things we've clung to too tightly. And maybe we're being taught to let go of those things to make room for the new. Help us to embrace this time where we let go of the old and we make room for the new in our lives. Amen. Tonight's worship service, as we always do, is we start with a meditation time. We here at Fellowships of the Spirit, we really relish the importance of meditation in our lives, and that is a silent meditation, that a time for quiet, where the words aren't what's important, but what's important is we go inside and we can have our stillness, a period of stillness. That stillness, that, again, one of those things to be grateful for, that No matter where we go, we can get busy and distracted and do all the things, but underneath all of that is a silence, a stillness that never leaves us. That grace is one of the many gifts, many things that we are just given by the nature of our birth. It's our birthright. And in that silence, we find ourselves in the presence of God. So at this moment, we'll take about 6 minutes of time here and enter into this time of prayerful, silent meditation that allows us to rejoice in the many gifts that we have in our lives as we celebrate the coming of spring. Thank you, and we'll see you in a few minutes. yourself around to stretch your legs and arms and wiggle your fingers and toes, shift your breathing, and take time to come from that deep silence within and back to the program that we're offering you at this time. But on the way back, let's enter that space of gratitude and joy for the many gifts that are ours. And one of those beautiful gifts that we all have is the gift that we can pray for others, that we can be an agent of healing in people's lives, whether it's our words, but it's by our touch, but it's just by our presence sometimes that we can, in fact, be an agent of healing in people's lives. Each and every one of us knows people in our lives who are in need of healing at this time. So what I'd like you to do is bring your stillness, your attention, and your focus to be prayerful at this time of our service this evening, to send healing to those in your lives who are in need of God's loving presence, God's touch, and may you be the agent of that through your thoughts, through your presence, and through your hands if the person is with you and as you're watching this evening. And take a few minutes now and just pray for those who are in need of healing at this time in your lives. Just take a little time here. One of the things that we invite you to do here at Fellowships is to make a list of the people in your lives who are in need of healing, that you would daily check in with that list. And in that list, have people who are in need in your lives of that healing presence and touch. And whether you're having personal contact with them or just prayer contact with them, that you might focus some time in your day, each day, to send that healing presence, that healing love to those people, to bring harmony, to bring upliftment, to bring inspiration, maybe just some peace or relief of pain to folks who are in need of healing in your lives. Might even be relationships, not just physical issues, but it can be mental and emotional and relationship issues, where there's a need, where you know people in your lives that could use your love and your healing touch. Make a list of those folks. And then when you come into our worship services on these broadcasts that we do, that you have that at hand and can at this time in our service make it a special point, and that we will all collectively send to each other's lists at this time this healing presence and healing force that is a gift from God through us to those in need. So let's take that moment right now and imagine that all of our collective prayer concerns are now enveloped in this incredible, universal, loving force of grace and healing for all of those. So we're not only personally praying for individuals, but we're collectively praying for those in our lives who need healing. Let's do that now. In addition to that, we're all aware now, because of the media that we have, social media, mass media, whatever you want to call it, we all have information at our fingertips that reaches our eyes and our ears, and we are very aware of wars going on in the world, genocide going on in this world, persecutions going on in this world, human slavery that's going on in this world, human trafficking going on in this world. There is just so much out there that is cause of strife for all of us. And then not to mention the fact that this week we've had massive storms in our country, but those storms are in other countries around the world too, where people are challenged their lives are turned inside out, upside down, or they've been destroyed. We need to take a moment now for all of those who we are aware of that are in the way of change, traumatic change, or horrendous situations. We ask that that healing presence of God go to those people, and know that even though when they may not feel anybody's praying for them, that we take this moment and we are indeed praying for them. I also want to take a minute and say that, we have so much violence in our own country, and children and teachers were killed, administrators were killed this week at gun violence in Tennessee. And this is just so unnecessary in our world that this continues on, and there are ways and means by which this can be stopped. And one of the things that I hear too often these days is the cynicism of thoughts and prayers don't do any good. We need these outer changes. Yes, it's not an either or proposition, folks. It's a both and. We need thoughts and prayers for people who are badly, badly hurt by this kind of violence that's happening in our homes. It's happening in our malls. It's happening in our schools, hospitals, you name it. It's happening throughout our entire United States on so many levels. And this stuff needs to stop. So we pray this evening as well that those who have the ability to make changes to stop this kind of violence, that they move instead of sit back, that they take action instead of doing nothing, because doing nothing is not good enough. We are better than this as the people of this great nation, as the citizens of this nation. And we need to implore those who can make a difference, whether it's through laws, through administration, through regulations, through just finding new ways to reach people who are in strife so that they don't get their hands on weapons of mass destruction, and that they're stopped before these violent episodes, hundreds of them episodes, with thousands of people killed, come to an end. And now, enough is enough. So don't go into the cynicism of thoughts and prayers aren't enough. Thoughts and prayers are essential. Don't ever walk away from that power, the power of God to make a difference in lives. But also you can take actions that implore those in power to make decisions that will put a stop to this horrendous violence that's going on in our schools, as I said, in our communities throughout this land. Okay, I'm going to conclude now the healing portion of our service this evening. Lord, we give thanks for your presence in our lives. We give thanks for the upliftment and the inspiration that you can give, that you do make possible in each and every one of our lives. At the moments when we open to your presence, you are there. We give thanks for that incredible gift and the knowingness that we can have that you are there. You do make a difference in each and every one of our lives. Amen. Tonight, our inspirational speaker is from Jamestown, New York, and she's a graduate of our School of Spiritual Healing and Prophecy. It is Michelle Paternetti. She's a gifted medium. She's a spiritual teacher and healer. She's worked and dedicated her life to helping others connect with their spiritual self. She was born with a unique gift, the ability to communicate with spirits and connect with the divine realm from a very young age, and has since then used this gift to help guide others on their own spiritual paths. In addition to her work in the spiritual arena, Reverend Michelle is also a talented interior designer. She has worked in that profession for a number of years, and she believes that the spaces we inhabit have profound impact on our well-being. And Michelle works with her clients to create beautiful, healing environments that support their physical, emotional, and spiritual health. Michelle is a multifaceted individual who has dedicated her life to serving others and to making lives better for others. Through her work as a minister, a teacher, healer, interior designer, she has changed countless lives for the better and continues to inspire and guide others on their spiritual paths. So with that incredible introduction, and there's no exaggeration in that, because this is the woman who you have in front of you this evening, one who touches lives, who makes a difference on a daily basis in people's lives. Our own Reverend Michelle. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Good evening, and thank you, fellowships, for inviting me to speak tonight. I like to talk about actual things that have happened to me or actual things that have happened to someone else, because I believe that we have so much to learn from each other. So this is about me. On January 12th of this year, I lost my job. My company closed their doors and filed bankruptcy. No warning, just pack your stuff up and leave the building kind of situation. I was working for a very toxic company in a very toxic work environment for approximately 10 plus years. I was high up on the food chain, but I was never going to be appreciated for all of my hard work. And I knew that while I was working there. It was a very thankless job, to say the least. I did have another job lined up before my company actually closed, but that also fell through a few weeks after I lost my original job. So I had about 6 weeks between my company closing and losing my other prospective job. So I had about 6 weeks to really think in that moment, to really be present with who I was and where I was going. So I did a lot of being still and listening and listening and listening some more. Losing a job can be a devastating experience, one that can shake our sense of identity and shake our sense of purpose. It can make us feel like our future is uncertain and that we've lost our place in the world. That's exactly how I was feeling. I went from working 80 hours a week, every week for 5 years straight, to nothing. Now, technically, I have an interior design business and I have my spiritual work, but it still felt like everything came to a grinding halt for me. You know, just about every Hallmark movie is about some executive who works too much, who has to go out into the country to learn to slow down, and that work isn't everything, blah, blah, blah. It's not like I didn't already know this lesson. I just couldn't figure out how to stop it. Working so many hours and dedicating your heart and soul to something can really be confusing when it stops abruptly like that. I didn't know what I was going to do. I felt alone and abandoned. I knew that I had every right to feel the way that I felt. I understood that my feelings had value, but it was still confusing for me. I knew that I had to be present with them, but at the same time, I was trying to process everything and I was trying to figure out what to do. I knew that I needed to take some time to step back, to reflect on my priorities, to reflect on my goals. I needed to chart a new course in my new life. When any major unexpected event happens, we have to remember that it's not the end of the road, right? It's an opportunity to find a new path. So, what was this new path going to look like? How was I going to get there? The first step towards a new path is to believe in oneself and to believe in our abilities. We are capable of achieving great things, and our worth, as I found out, is not defined by our job title. Our worth is not defined by our paycheck. Our value as a person goes way beyond our professional achievements. I think believing in ourselves and believing in our abilities is a first step in any change or any transition that happens in our lives. We have to do the inner work so that we can have clarity on how to move forward. I asked myself, who am I? What does the best version of myself look like? I did a lot of reflection by praying, meditating daily, conversing with my friends, just like talking it out loud, like hearing it different, walking in nature, surrounding myself with things and people that made me happy and made me laugh. I just tried to enjoy each day as it came with no judgment and no guilt. I also found that it's important at these times of transition to care for our physical, our emotional, our mental well-being. I found myself craving, literally craving to be outside with nature. I wasn't surprised by this pull. I just was surprised at how strong it was. The energy outside was so healing for me. I would sometimes just stand on my deck out back and just stare out into my backyard. I would take big healing, breaths and just stand there and enjoy the space, something that I hadn't been able to do working so many hours. And again, just listening to the universe talking to me. It's so important during these times to get enough rest, to eat well, to exercise, and just to remember to seek support from our friends and family. And I slept a lot. My body was making up for all the lost sleep I endured, and I was mentally exhausted. So I listened to my body and I just rolled with it. If I needed a nap, I took a nap. If I needed to sleep in, I slept in. Like I said, I listened. And on the days that I didn't eat well, I really felt off and out of sorts. Like it was really hard for me to focus. I also found that during this period, I really needed companionship, support from my friends and family. I needed to talk it out so I could hear it clearer. Just being around my friends helped me to feel supported. Remember, we can feel as if we have lost our identity, and who better than our friends and family to know us? So I knew that being around friends who knew me would help me to see myself. So I reached out to others for support, for guidance, for inspiration. There are many people out there who have been in our shoes and have found success on their new paths. I remember I read a short bio of the author of the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling, and she went through some major life changes before she was rich and famous. In a short period, she lost her mother. She had her first child. She got divorced. She claimed bankruptcy. And I think that she was almost homeless at one point. And now she's one of the highest paid authors in the world. She had to change her course several times. Every setback, right, that we may consider as a setback or an obstacle is an opportunity for us to grow and to learn. And it may take time and effort like it did for her, but with perseverance, determination, we can overcome any challenge and find success on this new path. I find it's difficult to look at ourselves and not know who we are. But if these events happen, they're happening to remind us of our faith and what's important to us. How do we want to live our lives? It made me really stop and look at the path I was on and decide if I was going in the right direction. Do I want to continue down the same path, or do I need to change my course? For me, I felt I was on the right path. I just had my priorities flipped around a little bit. About a month ago, I finally made the decision. So after all this reflection, I finally made the decision to take a giant leap of faith and put my design business back up full time and take my spiritual work up full time. So I'm going to do completely what I love full time. Super scary, exciting, right? But I had made that decision after all of that reflection, meditating, talking with friends, praying. This was the decision I had made. So now that I knew what path I wanted to go on, the next step was to take action. And I feel like this is where people kind of get stuck. Like sometimes once they figure it out, they kind of just stand there and wait for things to happen. But you have to take action. And in my case, God did his part, right? He moved me out of a toxic environment when I couldn't move myself. So now it was my turn to do my part. And isn't that why God gave us free will? So that we could do our part? It always cracks me up when people just sit around and like wait for God to like do everything for them. Well, I hate to tell you, that's like not what he's going to do. That's not going to happen. How would we ever learn anything that way? We have to do our part. Taking action may involve learning new skills, exploring new paths, or just applying what we already know in a different way. It may also involve taking a risk, like what's happening for me, stepping out of our comfort zone, again for me, and pursuing our passions. Yay, like I get to pursue my passions. Thank you. And I'm a Taurus. This is a big risk for me not to have that W-2 job security, knowing that I will have a paycheck every week. But I know that the only way to be able to do what I love is to take a chance. I just need to take action and any kind of movement forward. So as soon as I made that decision on what I was going to do, and as soon as I made that decision, I started taking actual action. It was almost like God stepped back in and gave me a helping hand. Doors started popping open, ideas started flooding in, and opportunities started presenting themselves to me. It was magical. It was divine intervention. If you look, God is everywhere. So I kept hearing myself saying, thank you, over and over again, thank you. I was so grateful. And I was recognizing what was happening for me. I wasn't feeling alone or abandoned anymore. I was just feeling loved and supported. It's only been a few months, but it feels like I've been working at this my whole life, which I think is a beautiful thing to know that. Crazy how it feels when you get to do something that you love, how happy I feel, even though I'm still nervous about my finances and making this work. I'm really happy. So it's hard to describe how clear things look for me now. And I still may not know what my future is or what my future has in store for me, but I know that I'm not alone. God and Spirit are always with us. We are always being guided for our highest and best. God has been sending me a lot of animals during this time also. It feels like they're checking in on me. I see so many hawks that I've actually lost count. One day I was at my design client's house and I was working. So I was at their home working, and a hawk flew. So we were standing by the windows, and a hawk flew so close to the window, its wing dragged across the window. My client was literally standing right next to me, and she saw nothing. That hawk was a wingspan away, and she saw nothing. He also is sending me this little baby raccoon. It visits me almost every day. So it climbs up my apple tree and it jumps across onto my side porch roof. So why the roof, I have no idea, but it likes to go up there and it likes to jump around. So it sounds in the house like a giant person stomping around on my rooftop. So when I hear that, I go upstairs and I open the window that like looks out onto that porch roof, and I sit there and like face to face, like the raccoon will like come up onto this little pail that for some reason is on that roof. I don't know why. And it'll climb up and like look at me up in the window, face to face, nose to nose. And like, we just chatter back and forth to each other. I don't think I've ever been that close to a wild animal before. It feels so special, that connection. And I know that God gave that to me. At night, I also feel healing hands on me. So healing me when I'm asleep. And maybe that is something that I wasn't getting enough of before. Maybe I needed to slow down to heal. I haven't had a lot of time for self-care and self-love, just working all those hours. And now I've made it a priority. So it's not that I think that they weren't there before. I just think I can feel them now. A lot of healing has been happening in the last couple months. And this new journey is going to take me to a place that I've never been before. And I'm going to learn lessons that are new and that I've never, learned before. And I have an excited fear about that. Like almost like when you're ready to go out onto a stage and perform, you're really super excited, but you're really afraid at the same time. All I know is that I see the world through different eyes now. The possibilities seem endless to me. I'm still asking myself, when did I lose those feelings? How did I get so stuck in one place for 10 years? I'm not sure yet. I'm still working that out. I'm still working on that lesson. But at least now I am doing something about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michelle. As always, wonderful words of wisdom. Sometimes they come the hard way to us. And you're moving through this time of transition beautifully. And we're glad to have you involved here at Fellowships as you are. Thank you. It's time for a few announcements. First of all, our spiritual insight training that is coming up in April 20th through the 23rd. Thursday evening through Sunday afternoon. We still have seats available for that course. We'd like to, if you've been thinking about joining us for spiritual insight training, it's the combined part 1 and part 2. We have room available in that course. We'd love to have you sign up for it. You need to do that here very shortly if you want the discounted rate for early registration. Second of all, we're working diligently on our summer programs and our total year programs for 2023, starting in the month of May coming up. And a lot of those will be being posted online in the very near future. But I wanted to bring your attention to a couple of new developments that we're very excited about to offer. We have in the past not run a lot of programs during the week. We've had one or two. This summer, starting in May, we're going to be offering programs during the week here, and we're calling our new summer weeknight offerings Weeknights at the Lake. We sit right here at beautiful Middle Cassadaga Lake. Our windows overlook the lake. We've got a beautiful setting, and we invite you to come and join us for these particular learning experiences. First of all, our own Michelle, who was here this evening, is going to be starting a spiritualist development circle starting at 7 p.m. on May 17th. And that program is going to run all through May, the balance of May, all of June, July, and August of this year. And if the momentum is good and people want to continue, it can go on beyond that. Michelle is from our county here, from Jamestown, New York, and is willing to continue with that, assuming the momentum is there. And we'd love to have her be able to do that. So if you want to learn some of our spiritualist concepts and how to develop your capabilities, your skills, those it'll be on about 7 to 8:30 or 9, depending on how the thing goes in the evenings. We'll start with May 17th with Reverend Michelle. We also have a very exciting new program we're going to be adding on Tuesday nights. It'll start on June 13th, and Nancy Lombardo, who is the president of Living Spirit Church in Lilydale, will be teaching yoga. She's a yoga instructor, and she will be teaching on Tuesday nights from June 13th on through all of July, August. And again, if the momentum is there to continue on, I'm sure Nancy would consider continuing beyond that. But those will run from 5:45 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Starting again on Tuesday nights, June 13th. So these are part of our exciting new programs that we're going to be offering here. These are just the weeknight ones. There will be a very robust weekend program schedule. We're building right now, and Fellowships is here and going strong. And we invite you to take advantage of our many learning opportunities here at Fellowships of the Spirit. So we're coming to the close of our worship experience this evening. I want to thank you all for joining us. And in order to close this service, I'd like to have a prayerful benediction. And so if you'll close your eyes a minute and just kind of settle back into that quiet that's there for all of us all the time. And let these words speak to your heart. Rejoice always, pray constantly, give thanks in all circumstances, test everything, hold fast to what is good, and may God's countenance shine upon your face and bring you peace, now and forevermore. Amen. Good night.